As the Minister of Māori Development, who is proud to be Māori, how can he justify being part of a government that is disestablishing te ako haiora, cutting 300 million of targeted Māori funding, repealing Section 7AA of the Oranga Tamariki Act, the confiscation of our coastlines, rejecting the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, defunding Section 27 reports, restoring 3 strikes, just about there, removing te mana o te wai, and setting in motion a wave of anti-Māori sentiment by giving life to the Treaty Principles Bill.
It's not appropriate to use a question to question the integrity of a minister or any member in this House. You can ask a question about actions they're taking inside their ministry, which I appreciate is the thrust of your question, but the start of it was not an order. The Honourable Tama Potaka. Paul Goldsmith, the point of order.
In addition to the point you made, I thought there was a very standard rule that questions could not include assertions, and that question was full of assertions that we would contest entirely.
Yes, it's a difficult word, assertion. If we used it in application for both questions and answers, the House would be practically mute. The Honourable Tama Potaka.
It's a WhangāreiTim whare. I'm very proud to be part of a cabinet that has more Māori members than any other cabinet in New Zealand's history. What I'd also acknowledge is the progress that Minister Metakota, Minister Goldsmith, is making on various treaty settlements such as Te Kororo Wai o Wainui Aorua and Taranaki Maunga. Also, the funding for Matatini that Minister Willis, the Manu Pūtea, has supported over the next 3 years. Also, the progress that the Ōrākau bill has made by Minister Potaka, and also getting hundreds of tamariki Māori out of emergency housing. I've got to say some of these questions are like a hangi on repeat reheat.
And that wasn't an appropriate comment either.
Do all of these cuts and repeals constitute Māori development or Māori regression?
It's a WhangāreiTim whare. I'm very proud of the progress being made by this government to get the country back on track around the economy, law and order, education, housing, small, medium enterprises, emergency housing, and a whole range of other portfolios.
Supplementary.
Just wait for the conversation to end over here.
How can he justify the government's decision to cut 30 million from Te Ahu o Te Reo Māori, a program that develops Te Reo Māori among our kaiako, immediately after Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori?
It's a WhangāreiTim whare. I can reflect on some of the comments that have been made by both Minister Willis and Minister Stanford in relation to this matter, and acknowledge also that there are various free courses offered through universities, wānanga like Te Wānanga o Aotearoa, and various other methods through our community. Those avenues and pathways are open for the teachers to school themselves up on Te Reo Māori and celebrate our language as a forever language, ake, ake, ake.
Supplementary. Does he agree that the actions of this government, of his government, constitute ethnocide? The deliberate and systematic, just taiwa, tatari, systematic destruction of the culture of an ethnic group.
Questions will be heard in silence, but questions that make an allegation or even ask a question like that, it's outside the bounds of what would be reasonable inside the House. There are other ways of asking a question, and I'd invite the member to perhaps have a quick think about that and ask a supplementary that might get the same answer, but with a different front end to it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he agree that the actions of this government constitute deculturation, the deliberate and systematic destruction of culture, Māori culture?
No, look, I'm sorry, that's not an order either. If you have a look, who asked that? No, it's not a point of order from you. I'm dealing with one, dealing with a ruling at the moment. And if the member looks at the standing orders around the asking of what can be asked in a question, you cannot put into a question an assertion of that nature. So do you want one more go?
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable David Parker.
Point of order. My point of order, sir, is that the member wasn't making an assertion. She was asking whether the Minister agreed that that was a proper summary of the effect of government policies, and that is a proper question. The government doesn't have to agree with it, but it is a proper question to be able to be asked in this House.
Order. Speaking to the point of order, the Honourable Simeon Brown.
Well, Mr Speaker, I mean, I think there's a particular, the word ethnocide has significant meaning, and I think there's offence taken from the side of the House, and would ask her not just to not use it, but to withdraw and apologise.
We've actually dealt with that. We've moved on from it.
In relation to the fact that she used that word in a prior question, and
yes,
you've addressed the use of it, but not in relation
I've spoken to her about it, and we've dealt with it. The Honourable Shane Jones.
My point of order, sir, is slightly different. Standing Order 390 shows that you are quite right.
Well, there you go. That's sort of read there today. I'll clock that one up. Ricardo Mendes-March.
Yeah, Standing Orders 390 talk about statements of facts and arguments and inferences and imputations, but as David Parker mentioned, actually what the member was simply doing is asking a question, and whether it's inflammatory or otherwise, it was not an assertion, it was a question, so I don't actually think that Standing Orders 390 applies here.
That's right, but it's me who judges that, and I would say that imputation is another aspect of that question. I'm inviting the member to ask her question in a different way, and I'm sure she can do that.
Does he agree that the actions of this government constitute harm and poverty and such things that impact on Māori katoa o te motu?
Tama o whare. This government acknowledges the severe inequalities of opportunity that confront Māori communities and cohorts within Māori communities, both in the social space and the economic space. Hence, we're absolutely focused, ruthlessly focused, in fact, on a variety of targets, such as improving Māori school attendance and Māori achievement in education, making sure that we reduce the number of Māori living in emergency households, and a number of other initiatives. And my focus, as is with a number of my colleagues, is to ensure that the Māori economic development, Māori social development is supported and improved, so we can all say, actually, there is an equality of opportunity here in Aotearoa, New Zealand.